Hey everyone, I was asked in the comments if I could do a tutorial on sword block. Yeah, why not? So today I show you how to animate a sword block animation in FlipaClip. If you don't use FlipaClip but another animation software, this tutorial should still work for you. If you have any questions or suggestions for other tutorials, just put it into the comments and don't forget to subscribe. There are two different blocks that I want to show you today. So let's first take a look at the animation in detail. First, the green stick figure swings the sword and moves his arms upwards. The sword now points downwards and blocks the attack from the side. Now comes the second attack, but this time the green stick figure has blocked the attack by hitting away the other sword, which is a different way of blocking than the first one. Okay, then let's get straight to the animation. By the way, I animate with 24 FPS. I will start by animating the stick figure which will block the attack. For the stick figure, I use a pen size of about 30 pixels. First, I draw the starting position and copy it a few times. Then the stick figure takes a small step backwards, leaving one foot in the same place. The arms bend while the figure takes the step back, because in the final animation the stick figure spins the sword half a turn and it has to move its arms somehow. After I have animated the movement of the blocker, I now draw the sword. For this I use the ruler, then I take a brown color to draw the line for the sword handle and a grey color to draw the sword blade. I use the lasso to make the sword a bit bigger and the eraser to make it a bit sharper. Next I use the lasso again and circle the sword to copy and paste it into the other frames. Next, I want to animate a smear effect for the sword. If you want to know more about the sword fight or sword swing animation, then have a look at this tutorial or this one. There I explain the whole process in more detail. In a nutshell, draw an arc from the tip of the sword to the tip of the sword from the previous frame. Then draw an arc back to the sword handle and fill the whole area with color. And draw the smear effect larger the further away the sword is from the current frame, from the sword from the previous one. Then I copy frame 10 twice and use the lasso to move the sword a bit. In the animation it looks like the sword is shaking, which makes the block animation more realistic. Now it's time to animate the attacker. First I draw the starting position and then copy it 3 times. Then he takes a step forward, move both arms backwards to gain momentum for the strike with his sword. To synchronize the block with the attack, you should draw the attack exactly at the moment when the other figure is in the position to block. The block and the attack should take almost exactly the same time. In other words, you should draw the same amount of frames to build up the block or strike the attack. As soon as one sword touches the other, hold this position for about 3 frames. This makes the block appear more visible. The attacker then draws back his sword and swings out for the next strike. The arms move synchronously. The arm holding the sword moves slowly backwards, while the other arm moves forwards. This makes the movement of the stick figure more realistic. However, he then uses both arms again for the attack. Now, of course, the attacker also needs a sword. To do this, I simply copy the sword from the blocker with the lasso and paste it onto the other character. Then I draw the smear effects for the sword again, just like I did for the blocker. And this is what the animation currently looks like. As you can probably see, the first block is a little too fast. That's why I'm going to copy and change these frames from the block. I then use the lasso to move the swords a little again. This makes them shake in the final animation, as I show it to you earlier in this tutorial. When you move the swords, make sure that you only move them a little bit, otherwise the shaking looks a little over the top. Next, I add sparks when the swords hit each other. For this, I use an orange color and draw very thin lines that fly away from the swords. From frame to frame, they get smaller and smaller, and I only draw them in 2 to 3 frames. I also add the heads for the stick figures. For this, I use a pen size of 90 pixels and then click once on the screen with my pen. This gives me a perfectly round head. I then circle this with the lasso so that I can copy and paste it into the other frames. Here I noticed that the swing is a bit too slow in my opinion, so I just had to change the sword a bit to make the swing look faster. Last but not least, I want to add a few effects. First, I want to give the sparks a glow effect. To do this, I click on the pencil icon, then scroll down until I see the airbrush. I select it, then I use an orange color again and draw along the lines of the sparks. Now I want to adjust the sword smear effect. For this I use the airbrush again, but this time for the eraser. Then I set the eraser to the largest pixel size and use it to erase the tip of the sword smear effect. And that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you now know how to animate your own sword blocks. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video and bye bye.